Welcome back to Shadowrun Hong Kong. We've just finished a mission, so we should decide on what we're going to do with our characters, but also chat with everyone. Okay, so do we want to boost poison fog, or do we want to be able to make her spirits better? You know what, I'm going to go with augmenting poison fog, because I don't really care that much about the spirits, even though I've picked spirits over everything else. I think poison fog is fun. Okay, so grab that. Isabelle, do we want the mini launcher to have napalm targets? Or boost her persona speed? While sneaking in the Matrix by 40%. That's real nice. But we're going to be doing most of the hacking, so let's let her explode people better. Okay, now, you. A nail grenade or a modded flashbang? Let's do the modded flashbang, because that then goes well with the crowd control. Okay, got you. Do we want coup de grace, which basically allows you to kill stun targets? Or do we want to eat people and gain strength from that? I'm going to go with eat people. I think he's basically going to go all ghoul all the time. Alright, Rakta. Ooh, yeah, okay, definitely. We're taking Predator over Repair. Alright, good. Good. And that's everyone. Good. Alright, let's start by chatting with Duncan. You find Wu sitting on his bed and staring at the floor when you come to his cabin. He rubs his head up and back, occasionally stopping to softly bounce his palm against his forehead. When he notices you, he closes his eyes and shakes his head. Not in the mood to talk right now. Gotta wrap my brain around this Edward Sang thing. Tough finding out Raymond isn't who we thought he was. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking. 16 years. We lived with him 16 years and never knew the man. 16 motherfucking years. I just gotta think, work through this. Okay. You never want to talk, Duncan. You notice that? He's always fobbing us off. You enter Isabelle's cabin to find her jacked into the octopus. Her body slouches, motionless, tethered to the machine. The computer's large display flickers to life again, just as it did last time. Isabelle's avatar fills the screen. This isn't helping. The avatar frowns down on you, a look of supreme disillusionment on its face. I'm decking. I'm in my safe space, and it doesn't help. The memories are just as painful here as they are in the real world. The memories are part of you. Decking doesn't make you leave that behind. No, I guess that it doesn't. It fucking should, though. I can't handle having no way to escape from this. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know, okay? I don't. You know what? Hang on. The avatar winks off and the terminal powers down. Isabelle's body shudders, a familiar tremor. Her consciousness is flooding back out of the matrix and into her meat. Her eyes flutter and she takes a sharp breath slowly. Shakily, she rises from her perch on the floor. You're here with more questions, right? I'm sure you are. Why else would you be bothering me? So spit them out, and I'll go digging around in that cesspit I call a memory. Who knows, maybe we'll find a clue. I know you're hurting, Isabelle. If venting helps, go ahead. No, that wasn't like me. This isn't the person I want to be. Oh, I'll be okay. I can handle this. Just ask me questions, okay? Let's get the ball rolling. I have some questions about the walled city. Go on. Alright, nothing, apparently. Any thoughts about that last run? I wasn't there, remember, so for me it was pretty much like any other night. Spent the evening tooling around on the octopus. Alright, fine. Fine, nothing. That's probably for the best, because that means I have to spend less time chatting with people. Haha! Okay. As you enter Gobbett's cabin, two things grab your attention. The first is Gobbett herself. She looks exhausted, bleary-eyed. The easy smile that you've come to associate with her is nowhere to be seen. The second is what she's doing. Gobbett appears to be in the middle of a valiant attempt to stuff a whole roast duck into a saucepan half its size. The bird's rubbery neck flops from side to side with every heave of her shoulders. She looks up from the saucepan, blinking. A corner of her mouth twitches upward, but the half-smile falls away almost immediately. Oh, hey, Ranneko. Caught me at a bad time. I was just making dinner. Yeah, it looks that way. Wouldn't that work better if you cut it into smaller pieces first? Huh? She blinks down at the duck. Her mouth dips into a frown. Yeah, that'd probably be smarter, wouldn't it? I'm not really thinking clearly today. You feeling okay? You don't look well. It's weird. Ever since our last session, I've felt, preoccupied with the sinking ship. I don't really do this whole haunted by demons of my past thing. I mean, that's fine for some people, but I'm allergic to drama. Generally, when the thoughts of the past get me down, I remind myself that it doesn't matter, laugh it off and go have a snack. But this, I don't know, it's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I haven't been able to get the sinking ship out of my mind. I guess I'm worried about Cat and Mal, which is weird, because why would I be? I haven't even spoken to them for years. Hell, if anything, they should be worried about me. I'm the one who gets shot at for a living. Maybe we should go check it out. Sinking ship isn't far, is it? No, I don't want to do that. At least not a good reason. It'd be awkward, and I'm sure it's nothing anyway. Actually, check that. I know what this is. It's my own personal vision of the same thing that we're all feeling. The psychic sewage that's being dredged up in all of us by whatever's happening in the walled city. I'm sure that you've had some flashes of memories from the barons in your bad dreamings, right? Images from your past coming back to haunt you. But you aren't going to drop everything and go running back there, because that'd be dumb. So tell me, why should I? Because the sinking ship is like 15 minutes from here? I mean, couldn't hurt to check. Look, I don't want to go back there if I don't have to. If I'm thinking about the places enough to mess with me, right? I don't want to know what being there will do. Tell you what, I'll drop Malvina a line just to check in. And make sure this is a me problem, not a them problem. And if there is something going on, I promise you, you'll be the first to know. Alright, Gilbert. If that's the way you want to play it. It is. Now, can we get back to... Is there anything else you wanted... Or can we get back to my duck? Any thoughts about the last run? I think it went pretty well. I know a lot of runners who can say they went up against Ares and came out ahead. Sure, maybe the job could have gone a little smoother, but how are we supposed to account for another runner team showing up? Adaptability, Ranneko. That's what makes for a good runner. Always go with your instincts. I think you made the right call giving those guys a laser. I mean, who doesn't like lasers? But would another gun really make that much of a difference for us? That team sounded like the kind of people that won't forget a debt. Sometimes that's the difference between living and dying. Who you can call in a pinch. So what else do you want to chat about? I wanted to ask about Izzy. Oh, yeah, well, sure then, ask away. She told me you let her out of the walled city when you were kids. Can you fill in the details on that? Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised. This has never been big on padding a story with unnecessary detail. You want to tell your side of the story? Seems I got a vested interest in the walled city these days. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll share. To start, well, guess what you need to know is what the walled city was like when me and Iz were kids. She didn't tell you anything about that, did she? She wasn't big on volunteering unnecessary information. Yeah, that's what I thought. She reaches down, absent-mindedly strokes Madness's silky coat. The rat chirps happily at her caress. Well, for starters, you should probably know that the walled city wasn't always as bad as it is now. It was always dangerous, but 10 years ago it was just a run-of-the-mill slum, still safe enough that walking in it didn't qualify as a suicide attempt. I was in the walled city earlier. I figured that what I saw in there had to be the bottom of a downward spiral. The bottom? What you saw? No, Ranneko. When you went into the Lotus Den, you were on the outer perimeter of the walled city. What you saw earlier is the best the walled city today has to offer. As you go deeper towards the center, it gets a whole hell of a lot worse. Anyway, when I was a kid, it was pretty much like what you saw in the Lotus Den. Not exactly Victoria Harbour, but survivable if you knew what you were doing. Back then, I used to play in the walled city. Rat would lead me into all of the nooks and crannies that grown-ups were too big to fit through. There was this other young shaman in there I used to play with. His name was like Happy or Lucky, something like that. He followed Pig. Nice guy. Good card player. Obviously, none of this was a good idea. Teenage girl going to the walled city by herself, that's a recipe for the disaster. Didn't realize any of this at the time, though. I loved playing in the alleys and crawl spaces of the walled city. It was fun. And that's how you met Isabelle? By exploring the walled city as a kid? Yep, inside the wall. There are these districts. You were in one earlier when Cheng sent you off to strangle about. The Lotus Den. Yeah, I didn't realize the whole walled city was divided up that way. It's a real estate. It's the cost is divvied up. The choicest species go to the biggest fish. It's the same in the walled city as it is everywhere else. Isabelle and her family lived in the mansion district. It's sort of a holding pen for refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Basically anyone who is an Asian, European or goblinoid. It's less pleasant than it sounds. Why is it called the mansion district? Locals named it after Chung King Mansions out in Tsincha. It's sort of an inside joke. The mansions are the unofficial African quarter of Hong Kong. Most of the free enterprise zone's African immigrants settle there if they can afford it. Destitute refugees like Is and her family, they don't get to go to Chung King Mansions. They get herded into the walled city, and once they're inside, the mansion district's where they wind up. Forced relocation. I guess some things never go out of style. No, they don't. And once the refugees arrive in the mansion district, their prospects don't exactly improve, right? The only thing that most of the people in the mansion had in common was the colour of their skin and the fact they were living in crushing poverty. They don't even have a common language, so to speak. It was a pretty rough place. Lots of infighting, lots of gang-on-gang violence. People did band together for protection, but there wasn't a lot of hope. Everyone lived in fear of being sent deeper into the slum, towards the centre. When you start getting dragged in that direction, you don't come back. Sounds like a charming place. Yeah, charming. That's when I first met Isabelle. Wasn't long before we were friends. She was interesting. I think that's why I let her latch onto me. The girl was smart, savvy, but cripplingly shy. She didn't belong in the walled city. No one really does. But with her it was painfully obvious. She was like a little mouse trapped into a box full of weasels. It was only a matter of time before someone snapped her up. So, what happened to you to lead her out of the walled city? Rat happened. She came to me in a dream, showed me whatever was going bad in the walled city was getting worse. Whole place was rotten from the inside out, choking in bad key and lost hope. I decided to go inside one more time. If I found Isabelle, I'd offer to lead her out. If I didn't, well, she grimaces and spreads her arms. I get it. You don't have to, well, let's go with, you did find her. It doesn't matter what would have happened if you hadn't. Thanks. It isn't pleasant to think about, especially considering what a shithole the walled city is now. The truth of the matter is, if I hadn't pulled Isabelle out of there, she'd probably be dead by now. I get it. Someone did the same for me and Duncan once. Yeah, I knew that you'd get it. And I did bump into her, and she did follow me, and Rat got us both out safe. So there you have it. Happy endings all round. What about Izzy's family? She said they were still in the walled city. Why didn't you bring them with you? You think I didn't want to? Look, it was going to be dangerous enough to get Isabelle out of there. Dragging her whole family out with her would have been impossible. Why? Because they weren't like me and Iz. They hadn't grown up in the streets. They were upper-class people back in Somalia before they emigrated to Hong Kong. They were hopelessly out of their element. Even if I had managed to find them, they probably would have done something stupid and gotten us killed. So, you just left them? Damn right I did. Even if I'd managed to convince them to come with me, they'd have gotten caught. The Yellow Lotus would have kidnapped them if they were lucky. If they were unlucky, the thrill gangs or organ leggers might have gotten them. It wasn't worth the risk to even try. Okay. Besides which, Isabelle didn't want to bring her family. She wanted to get away from them as much as she did from the walled city. Never could get her to tell me why. What about the other people who stayed behind? The other shaman you knew? They went bad. Crazy. That pig shaman I knew wound up going full-on toxic. It was horrifying. He burned himself out in an orgy of blood. Ugh. Nasty business. Not for me. Toxic? What's that mean? When a shaman goes toxic, he goes bad. Like if you invert the usual meaning of the totem. That's what a toxic shaman does. Dog shamans are loyal and friendly. They're like good dogs are. A toxic dog shaman is rabid. They're both dog, but they're both different aspects of dog. Get it? And your pig shaman went toxic. That's what I heard. Don't want to know what happened to him. It was pretty bad. Before the locals overwhelmed him, a lot of people died. Can we talk about anything else? No. Yeah, sure. And Ranneko, everything will be fine. You'll see. If there is anything fishy going on in the sinking ship, you and Iz will be the first to know. I promise. Yep. Cool. So we'll definitely be going to the sinking ship at some point. Can't talk to Duncan because Duncan don't want to talk to us. So now we'll go down to chat with Rakta and then Gaichu. So Rakta. Ah, my friend, you've done an admirable job indeed. I have already incorporated the technology you recovered, my stolen tech, into a new chassis I am fabricating for Crochet. You move quick. Yes, well, I've been waiting for this for a long time. The next time we take to the field, you can expect to find Crochet's combat effectiveness considerably improved. He has become truly deathless, as his namesake was in the legends. When he takes damage, he will mend himself before your eyes. That sounds incredible. Can't wait to see it in action. Nor can I, my friend. He turns back to the wearing machines that fill his shop, watching their progress with hunger in his eyes. Nor can I. Nice. Creepy, but nice. Again, the shop is quiet, no hammering of metal, no whine of heavy machinery, nothing but the sound of your own footsteps and the low electrical hum of Rakta's work terminal. The monitor above the work desk is alive with vibrant imagery, graphs, technical readouts, and reference images fill the screen. Ah, hello my friend. Back for more answers? I can take the time to talk if you can. Any thoughts about last run? A most wondrous outing. Excellent. I have my research back, my prototypes returned, all thanks to you. I suppose I could complain of Taylor and Hardingham's absence. I would greatly have enjoyed commanding Crochet to feed them their own entrails. But this is a small matter. I have my research, and I will catch up with them soon enough. Your choice to give away the laser prototype that we discovered confuses me, though. Why did you bother? We didn't owe that other team anything. We were there first, and we were the ones who found the device. Ah, but it doesn't matter. A small thing, my friend. A trifle. A laser is nothing compared to my research. I am in your debt. Now, what else would you have of me? I want to continue our discussion from last time. There are some loose ends we need to tie up. Yes, my friend, I suppose there are. Go on, ask your questions, and we'll see where your inquiries take us. Last time we spoke, you told me that essence loss didn't hurt you. I want to know why. Yes, I did tell you that, and I do owe you an explanation. Tell me, my friend, do you know what about essence loss and its effect on the metahuman psyche? Essence loss kills a part of you. The more cyberware you get, the more detached from reality you become. Yes, that's right, and this detachment can be deeply traumatic for the sufferer. The literature is full of such cases. Now, what would you say? That if I told you after my accident and subsequent cyber surgery, I felt no different at all. That even in the beginning I was completely unchanged. I'd ask if you knew why. I do, in fact. Would you like to know? That's why I asked. I was born with what society has deemed a psychological defect. Out of fear of social repercussions, I spent most of my life hiding it. I still hide it. Even now, the lessons of my childhood were not wasted on me. I know the value of a reputation. But since the accident, I have come to recognize this quirk for what it really is, a selective advantage. What is the defect you're talking about? Does it have a name? Absolutely. I was diagnosed as a primary psychopath at the age of 8. Crochet scuttles forward, brushing up against Rakta's leg, metal on metal, separated by a thin layer of cloth. The drone's many eyes focus on you, irising wide open and bathing you in a dull red glare. Well, the word diagnosed is probably not the correct one. There's no formal diagnosis of psychopath in the DSM, but all the markers were there. I displayed a complete lack of empathy on the Davis Interpersonal Reactivity Index. I scored a perfect 40 on the PCLR. A blood test showed that I had inherited a damaged gene that has been linked with aggressive behavior, and the activity in my ventromedial prefrontal cortex is vanishingly low. Like autism, psychopathy is a spectrum, not a single disorder, but I am definitely on that spectrum. So, where are you on that spectrum, Rakta? Before I turned to the shadows, I considered myself a pro-social psychopath. That is to say, I had all the markers for psychopathy, and I expressed some of the expected behaviors, but I never killed anyone, at least not until it became a job requirement. Now I'm not so sure. I will admit there's a certain thrill to our profession. It's quite liberating being paid to hunt and kill other men, but I only indulge in these appetites when I'm on the job, and I never bring my work home with me. I'm sure this all comes as a great shock to you, but I'll tell you, my condition is actually an advantage, one that protected me from the mental trauma of my accident and subsequent reconstruction. The psychological blow of essence loss can be devastating. This mental trauma is ultimately responsible for much of the damage and self-destructive behavior suffered by those that are at the razor's edge. Of course, there is a physical limit to how far the metahuman body can be pushed, but a normal person will reach their mental breaking point far in advance of this. The loss of self, the loss of capacity is far too painful to bear. And you didn't hit that point? No, I did not. I am quite certain that my breaking point does not exist. What doesn't matter to me if my capacity for empathy and conscience is stripped away? I never possessed either of those qualities in the first place. All this time you've been calling me my friend. Does that actually mean anything to you? Of course it does. The word has always carried a cerebral meaning. I cannot understand the concept of friendship and what it means to others. I know how important that feeling is, even if I cannot experience it myself. People with my condition, my advantage, are not incapable of bonding with others. The only difference is we do so on a cerebral level rather than an emotional one. I enjoy our association and recognize advantage in our being allies. I like talking to you. What better reason for us to be friends? Okay, so you say the mental condition protected from the trauma of essence loss. Got any proof of it? I have myself, my own experience. Nearly all of my essence was stripped away in a stroke, and I didn't even notice. What more do you need? Actual proof. Your subjective experience isn't quite enough. No, I suppose not, but I know it to be true all the same. My hypothesis makes good sense. I have never possessed a sense of humanity that others hold so dear. If having it stripped away is traumatic, it stands to reason I would be protected from that trauma. Yeah, but this whole theory of yours is based on anecdotal evidence. You have a sample size of 1, Rakta. Yes, that is true. Still, I am certain that time will prove me right. More certain of it than I have ever been of anything. Call it a matter of faith, I suppose. I dislike the term, but it applies. If that's the way you want to play this, then fine, but don't expect me to buy into your belief system if it isn't based on facts. A fair point and fair criticism. In time, I will endeavor to show you the proof of my beliefs. Until then, think of me as you would any other member of the team. Gobbet has a rat, I have this, it is mine, and you cannot take it from me. Any thoughts? Yeah, that's a lot to process, Rakta. Yes, I'm certain it is. For what it's worth, I think you're handling the information rather well. In the past, there have been others who were more rigid in their thinking. When I revealed myself to them, they reacted quite badly. I'm quite pleased that you haven't done the same. I don't judge my allies on what they are, it's what they do that counts. A man after my own heart. I wish that others were so open-minded. I'm not a broken thing to be fixed. I'm exactly what I was meant to be. You don't know how rare it is to find others who accept me as such. And now, if you don't mind, I would like you to leave. There is work to be done. Of course, Rakta. Do your thing. We'll catch up after another run. Be well. And now he's, I guess, going to be a bit more open with his psychopathy. Delightful. So, what's up, Gaichu? In the darkness of the cabin, Gaichu was hunched over a pile of keepsakes. He's unpacked most of his box, and the contents are lying strewn about the floor in a disorganized mess. The ghoul gingerly picks through them, turning each one over in his fingers as he feels their shapes. He addresses you without looking up. Please mind your step, Ranneko. I fear I made quite a mess, and many of my possessions are quite delicate. I would be rather upset if you were to accidentally crush any under your feet. After a moment, he places the one he holds, a small ceramic statuette of Daruma, to one side, lifting his face, and as he touches his brow in salute. I apologize for the mess. Why have you got all this out on the floor? I am simply thinking about the chain of events that have brought me to Hong Kong. I've been considering our talk about my former unit, what my plans are with regard to their incessant hunt and need for closure. I begin to think that I too need closure, an end not only to the hunt but to our dance around the core issue. One of us must die, the other might live. As it is, we are locked in stasis. How do you plan to accomplish that? That is the question I have bent my mind to answering since we last spoke. It is not an easy question to answer. My initial thought was to strike at a secure Ranneko holding, something valuable enough to draw the attention of the Red Samurai, and ensure the Ranneko reported that a ghoul was involved in the mission. It turns out that was not necessary. I began searching the Shadowrun BBS for any jobs against Ranneko holdings here in Hong Kong. Gaichu taps his braille reader with one toe. It is surprisingly easy to use the Matrix when you can read postings with your fingers. Slower than direct interface, but certainly possible. I also began to offer a reward for information on Red Samurai teams known to be in the city. A modest reward, nothing that would attract too much attention, but enough to keep people interested. This bore fruit. A Red Samurai arrived here a short time ago, smaller than normal size. Sounds like it could be them. It definitely is them. My contact described Ishida and Takagawa perfectly, as well as a new heavy gunner, most likely from another disgraced squad. What's more, he described a woman who looked exactly like Sasaki, but with a scar here on her forehead. Gaichu draws a finger down across his brow over his right eye, precisely where I cut her. How are you going to draw him out? Simply put, I intend to lure the team into responding to an action they believe to be perpetrated by an ordinary Shadowrunner, and ambush them. Then I will kill them, all of them. Once that is done, I can be free. I have found a job that will certainly draw a Red Samurai response. Ranneko is moving a prototype drone through Hong Kong on the way to a research facility in Shiba. It is of a new design, implementing machine learning and pseudo intelligence. Something that advanced would certainly attract a Red Samurai team should someone attempt to steal it. How can you be certain? Red Samurai are primarily proactive. The majority remain at the forge until dispatched across the world. Those that are not assigned to guard high-value locations, black laboratories, secure research facilities, and major complexes. Hong Kong has none of these, as Ranneko's facilities of that type are primarily located in Taiwan. My former unit will be the only one close enough to respond to the threat. The Johnson for this run is a Ranneko scientist escorting the drone. He wishes to leave Ranneko's employ, but is unwilling to risk reprisals should he escape on his own. To put it simply, he wishes to make it look like he was killed during a robbery, hence why he wishes the experimental drone stolen. If there is no body, there will be no investigation into his whereabouts. So he can kill two birds with one stone and get a fancy drone. Precisely. I can rid myself of my pursuers, and he can be free of their yoke. While I owe this man no loyalty, I think I can understand his sentiment. Besides, we'll be receiving payment for the job. Let me ask you some questions about the run before I agree to anything. How do you know it's not a trap? A fair question, but one with a very simple answer. Red Samurai are very risk-averse. Part of our training is to always put our lives on the line in defense of the company. Risking this drone in their quest for vengeance would be unthinkable. I did my own digging. The shipping schedules line up perfectly to place the drone in Hong Kong, and the Red Samurai would not have the authority to fake such records unless ordered to by their superiors. As I am the unit's private shame, it would not become a larger corporate matter. There is no profit in killing me for the company, only the unit. How do you know the drone would rate the response? Before I was infected, we escorted and guarded similar projects in the drone division. While I am unsure whether this one belongs to precisely the same research division, they are close enough to make Red Samurai involvement a certainty, in my opinion. Drone research is one of Ranneko's main advantages over larger megacorporations. Ares controls military hardware. Crop has a heavy industry, but Ranneko is the foremost drone development company in the world. No one else comes close. Ranneko will deploy Red Samurai to protect that advantage. Rely on it. And are you certain you can take them all yourself? Gaichu shifts, running a hand over his bald head. He looks way embarrassed. Well, I was hoping you'd help me. You and the rest of the team. I may be able to kill them all myself. It's possible. But I said before, I intend to give myself every possible advantage. That includes you, Wu, Gobbet, and the rest of the team. More guns means a higher chance of victory, and that is a proper way to lay a trap. Alright, I know enough. Alright, so what, may I ask, is, your decision? Sounds good to me. When do we leave? As soon as you are ready, I will message Mr. Johnson and let him know that we are prepared to fake his murder, to be ready for our arrival. I suggest you prepare as well. The Red Samurai are excellent combatants, not to be taken lightly. Sweet, we got ourselves a job, and that is definitely one I'm looking forward to. So now let's go back to the mission computer quickly, and let's access the Shadowlands BBS. search for relevant keywords, and that's what we will read at the beginning of the next episode. And then we will chat with everyone in Heioi, as is our wont.